In this video, I'm going to talk about be careful with business partnerships. Hey guys, it's Dr. J, Real Talk, vlog number 56, and I'm going to get more in depth about why you gotta be careful with business partnerships. So if you've heard what's going on right now with Big Baller Brand, there's this whole thing going on with Big Baller Brand about Lonzo Ball's, one of his partners in the company, Alan Foster, allegedly misfunneled $1.5 million of his personal business money into his own personal account. Now, Alan Foster is part owner of this Big Baller Brand, which is an apparel company, and he owns about 16.3% of Big Baller Brand. Lonzo Ball apparently owns 51% of the company, with the other percentage of his dad, LeVar Ball, and his mom, Tina Ball. But here's the interesting thing about this whole thing that's going on with Big Baller Brand, and this goes in general with business. Being in a business partnership is never an easy thing. It is an extremely difficult thing. I had an entrepreneurship professor tell me once that being in a business partnership is much more harder than being in a marriage. Now, I'm not no marriage expert, but I can tell you, being in business partnerships in the past, I can see why it's very difficult. I mean, there will be fights, people will not get along. When I talk about fights, I'm not talking about physical violent fights. I'm talking about verbal talks, and that it's very engaging to the point where it's like voices are being raised. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, you have to be able to look at the person and not have that much feelings, because things are going to get tough at the end of the day. Here's what I suggest and my advice to you if you're ever going to start a business partnership. All right, with anybody. First of all, don't do it with family and friends. Don't do it with your best friend in the whole wide world, because eventually that friendship will end. Because in business, there's gonna be a lot of tough decisions to make. And if you're always relying on your best friend just because of friendship with them, your business is going to likely fail. All right. And same thing with family, right? Imagine you having to fire your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister because they're not good business partners, they're not doing things that you tell them. All right, what's gonna happen when you tell them, listen, brother or sister or best friend, you gotta do a better job. Oh, come on, I'm your friend, I'm your brother, I'm your sister. Come on, man, we're together. You can't do this to me. Really, I was with you since day one. I believed in you, right? That crap, that's going to happen. So you have to separate that and get rid of them. All right. The second thing you need to do is, first of all, you have to do a background check on individuals. Like, you have to really go do a thorough investigation of these individuals or individual that you're going to partner up with. You know, I believe in second chances. I believe everybody should have a second chance. But when you go do a background check and you find out these individuals were funneling money or doing some Ponzi scheme, I think you should be very aware of these individuals, because it's probably a likely chance that they may do it again to you or and the business. So you have to do the background check. It doesn't matter if they're really friendly and nice. A lot of criminals are nice and friendly and cool, right? Along with even non-criminals as well. So you have to be very, very careful as to who you partner up with. I remember, for example, I had a partnership with somebody, and you know, he did not want to go into the business partnership unless his brother tagged along. At first, I was like, oh my gosh, why? In my head, of course, I was like, the guy was cool, the brother was cool and all, but to be in business with this guy, no way. He wasn't competent. He was very smart and all. The guy was getting his PhD. He was very smart. But in terms of business-wise, like I didn't have trust in him that he was gonna get the work done. What really did it bring to the table in this business partnership is one thing to bring in work, right, as an employee of sorts or an independent contractor. But in terms of business partnership, like, what do you bring to the table, right? And then third of all, if there's gonna be an argument between me and the brother, who do you think that business partner is gonna take? Me or his brother? Of course his brother. That's his blood. That's his baby brother. That's his brother. So you have to be careful with that. So, I had to be careful with that, and the business partnership ended. As I knew was right? The brother wasn't, didn't follow through because he was like, I'm too busy with my PhD, things like that. So I was like, man, Luckily for us, there wasn't a lot of money on the table. But what I did do right was I had everything in writing. Before any money was ever transacted, or we thought money would transact, we had documents in writing about ownership and how it would end and everything like that. So that's my other piece of advice. Make sure that everything is in writing. You cannot go into business partnership without having things in writing. Words are cheap, right? You can check on it, but you know, if you ever seen that McDonald's movie with was it Michael Keaton or something like that? You know, handshakes are cheap. All right, don't always trust a handshake. You have to get things in writing, and that writing has to be vetted by an attorney. Now, another piece of thing that I didn't do when I was in this business partnership that I just talked about, right? We didn't get the contract vetted by an attorney, which I highly recommend you do. But at least we have something in writing that we can go off in case anything had to go down in court. So if you have a business partnership, make sure you get attorneys involved, to get your own personal attorney involved in it. All right, just don't rely on the other partner's attorney, because you know you just want to make sure everything is correct and everything is good. So you know, you really have to do your check, and you have to get everything in writing. So again, if you're going to go into business partnership, you have to do your homework. And then there's another piece of advice I'm going to give you that I should have said. You should really vet the individual in terms of how their character. If this person is like a know-it-all, they think they know it all, like, oh, I don't need no advice, or I don't need to go to no workshop, or I don't need to go to no conference, or I don't need to go talk to nobody or no advice because I have 10 years of experience, 5 years of experience, or 20 years of experience, and nobody tells me what to do, or leave. Because the person who thinks to know it all doesn't know it all. All right? Seriously, they don't know it all. I was a few weeks ago, I was at an event, and there was this guy. He looked like a very smart guy, you know, like he knew things and stuff. And we were at the conference table, and you know, he had that attitude like, oh, I think I know it all. And he would answer the question, yeah, I know this. And he would answer, and the lady would be like, no, that's wrong. And it was just as in one time. It was more than one time she had to correct the guy. And I'm thinking, first of all, I would not be in a partnership with this guy, because you can't know it all, man. You just don't know it all. There's no way, right? So again, when you're in a business partnership, just look at the person's character. Can you withstand this person? If it's a person who thinks they know it all and is very conceited and all show off and doesn't know jack diddly squat, then leave that partnership. So that is my advice for you. Be careful when you're going into a business partnership. Make sure you vet the person thoroughly, check everything, criminal background check and everything like that. Make sure you get things in writing before the first dollar is ever in transaction. Don't get family and friends involved in the business partnerships. Make sure that you can stand that person, and make sure that you test this person's character to determine whether or not the business partnership will go on. Remember, a business partnership is much more difficult than a marriage. So think about that when you're going to go into a business partnership. All right, folks, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you follow me on social media at Dr. J Real Talk, and make sure you go to my website, www.drjrealtalk.com, and check you guys out next time.